I think we're not live yet. Yes, we're finally live, guys. Yes, of course. We were having some really controversial Cruz and Iniesta debates, but we'll save that for later. But of course, you're joined by us, of course, on MTAG More Than a Game. Of course, I'm Srini, and I'm joined by my boys Adi and Ritvik in the building. In case you didn't know, you should. Sergio Aguero is leaving Manchester City. I mean, you can
go.
You can tell that by Ritvik's t-shirt. But anyway, let's move on. Of course, you guys are joined because, of course, we're gonna pick the England 11 for the Euros. I'm not in my usual hype mood because of Aguero, but I'm gonna try to move on.
Neither am I, man. Neither am I.
Man, I can't even hide it. But anyway, we're gonna pick an England 11. So, boys, firstly, how are we feeling about England ahead of the Euros? You know, because they have such a stacked team. So, Adi, I'm gonna go to you. You're wearing the 2010 England shirt, of course. You're repping right now. So what do you think of England?
Well, no better opportunity to wear this, rep the boys. I think this is the first tournament years that England are going in as favourites. So that's testament to Gareth Southgate. And I know he gets a lot of stick, especially from both of you. But it's coming home. It's coming home. No, but seriously, I think generally a final is very, very possible. The rest of the teams are not at their best. France and Portugal, I'd probably say, are the other two favourites up there. But yeah, Ritvik, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think a semi-final is the bar. I mean, he has to at least reach the semis with this team.
Agreed.
No questions about that, because like most of the team is peaking. You know, everyone's experience. They have the perfect balance of experience and of the coming of age superstars, which are also in their top class form. No other country, as you mentioned, is in their top class form. Everyone's slacking a bit. Even like the likes of the France, the golden generation, the players individually aren't playing at their best. But everyone in the England's starting 11 or what the people that should start is playing at their best right now.
Yeah.
So going in, it's either going to be England or Portugal, I feel. I mean, they have to be the favorites.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the only reason why I would probably call Portugal the favorites is because I think a lot of England's players have yet to reach their utmost potential or their peak. And for Portugal, for example, I think those players are reaching a world-class level, whether you talk about João Cancelo or Ritvik, you know, same person, or whether you talk about Ruben Diaz or Bernardo Silva, you know, they're right up there, or, you know, even Bruno Fernandes, he's reaching elite levels as well. So I'd probably put Portugal ahead of England, but there's no denying that England have a fantastic squad. And the only problem with England's squad or with England's setup really is the manager for me. But this is not a Gareth Southgate bashing session.
He gets the results, okay? So we can't argue against anything. It's like Mourinho.
I'm not going to say anything. This is meant for another video. You guys are not getting this for free. We've recorded that already. So yeah, it's coming out soon. But anyway, guys, we're going to go position by position. So let's start at goalkeeper. Of course, England have the likes of Sam Johnston, Jordan Pickford, who recently got injured. Of course, they have Nick Pope. They have Dean Henderson. So Ritvik, I'm going to come to you. Who's your number one for England?
Dean Henderson for me, over the likes of Pope. And see, I think Pickford's going to be injured, right, for the tournament?
Possibly,
yeah. So I really think Henderson should be there because of his form, firstly, because of how he's changed how United's playing. If you've noticed, they've played a high line with him. And I feel he's kept 3-4 clean sheets in the 6-7 games he's played. He's been fantastic for them. And he is a class goalkeeper. He just doesn't get the chances to do so. And he has been fantastic for England as well. And he comes out, he commands the defense better than the rest. And you need someone to lead the line from the back. And I feel he does the perfect job for that.
Fair enough. Ali, what do you think? Same question.
Similar thoughts. I think, De Gea getting injured was a blessing in disguise for Henderson. And he's really picked up his form. I think he's almost undroppable from the United squad. One of the first names on the team sheet. I still feel like if Pickford comes back, picks up his form, and let's say he plays last 2-3 games, I still feel I would go for him. I mean, I know Henderson probably deserves it.
But it wouldn't be fair. It wouldn't be fair to Pickford, to come back and just get it.
It's a major tournament. I mean, being fair is one thing, and someone who has that, again, experience is a big factor for me. So I think I would edge Pickford, but Henderson in, I wouldn't be completely with.
Pickford is no Harry Kane, bro. He doesn't come back from an injury and score goals.
All I'm looking for when I'm looking at Adibir's screen is where the waistcoat is, because he sounds exactly like Gareth Southgate. But personally, for me, I have to go for Nick Pope. I can't believe Nick Pope's not been mentioned at all. Of course, Dean Henderson was a good shout, but Nick Pope's been one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League. His save percentage is like almost in the 80s. He's been fantastic this season. Sure, he has the occasional error like any top goalkeeper does, but I think merit-wise, I think he's been fantastic. And I personally feel that form over reputation always. I think what England's problem has always been is to go with experience and to not sort of think outside the box, such as you can even see that now with the likes of Eric Dyer being selected, Kieran Trippier as well. So I don't personally agree with those shouts, even though Henderson starting would be fine. I think he's been really good, but I don't think he's played enough football. So I would go for Nick Pope. But again, if Dean Henderson was selected, I'd not have many problems with that. Jordan Pickford should. I think Jordan Pickford is arguably the worst goalkeeper in the Premier League. So there's no way in hell he should be starting for a team that aims to win silverware this summer. So not for me. So boys, if we had to
What
come
do we
to
do?
consensus,
Yeah,
who
now what
would
do we
you-
do?
Yeah, what do we do, man?
Yeah, we need a vote. If I'll go first, I'll probably go for Henderson. Yeah, he gets mine.
So Henderson
enough.
for me.
Fair enough, Henderson for me as well. You know, on a day where Sergio Aguero is leaving City, I didn't want to go for United players, but life is not always fair. Anyway, let's go right back, and I'm going to go to you, Adi. Your beloved Trent Alexander-Arnold has not been selected. So, firstly, tell me what you think about that, and would you start him still? Would you go for someone else? What are your thoughts?
I think Trent being dropped is pretty fair. He's been poor this season. Maybe the last 2-3 months have been poor. Before that, he was subpar. I think Kyle Walker is my shoe-in. He's undroppable. He's efficient, attacking. He has output. Defensively, he's solid. With Trent, you lose things like it's more defensively unstable. Wan-Bissaka hasn't been picked at all, which is, it's got a lot of people talking. Again, he doesn't bring any attacking side of it, so I think Kyle Walker is the perfect balance in that way. But yeah, Ritvik, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I feel Kyle Walker edges it for me over Reece James just because he has the experience. Okay, he's not been playing as much. He's not been at the top of his game as much as Reece James has. But again, he's played so many major tournaments for England. Like he's been playing for 12 years now. So that makes it at least 4 tournaments, major tournaments. And yeah, he has to be there, man. He's one of the leaders. He's one of the captains of England, I feel.
Definitely. I think it's three of us going for Kyle Walker because I personally feel that, while he's not played enough, people are forgetting the fact that he was the outstanding right back in the league before João Cancelo did what João Cancelo is doing. I don't think he's done anything wrong to be dropped. He's been fantastic, and he's probably the most balanced right back in England. People constantly talk about how he's great going forward, but under Pep, he's completely transformed his game and become an absolute defensive, a powerhouse. So I think Kyle Walker has to start. Reece James is fantastic, and I don't think Trent's exclusion is fair completely because, again, they're discounting 36 months of absolute brilliance. But I still think Kyle Walker would probably be the most balanced option. So yeah, I think it's a clean sweep for Kyle Walker. So yeah, Kyle Walker at right back. Guys, at left back, of course, there's 3 options. Of course, there's the non-traditional Bukayo Saka. You could call him a left back because the kid can play everywhere. There's Luke Shaw as well, and there's Ben Chilwell. So I'm just putting Saka in there just for the sake of it. But if you had to go for someone, I'm going to go to Ritvik first for this one. Who are you going for?
The man I missed out on the team of the year. Luke Shaw.
Okay.
That was your fault.
Yeah, that's your fault, man.
I agree with my own what I made. I'm all for Tierney, but I got a lot of stick for it. So
yeah,
time to redeem himself, man. Luke Shaw goes in there for me. Numbers don't lie. He's been fantastic. He's been better than Chilwell, although Chilwell has been performing for England. So is he. But yeah, he just edges it because he's a better defender than Chilwell is. They're both good offensively, but he's a better defender. So,
Adi, same question. What do you think?
Well, we're probably going for a 4-3-3 in this formation. I think if Southgate went for a 3-5-2, I would have picked Saka. But because it's a traditional 4-3-3, I will go for Luke Shaw as well. He's been sublime this year. Really redeems himself. He's had major injury problems, and that's probably hindered his growth in the last 3, 4, 5 years. But finally coming to fruition, and fair play to him. He's my pick for sure.
Yeah, United fans drop the love in the comments because again, it's a clean sweep for Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw has been the outstanding left back in the country. I keep saying it, and I'm going to say it again. So yeah, don't give me stick for that, guys. I did go for Luke Shaw in our Premier League Team of the Year draft, and you should check that out on YouTube. But anyway, Luke Shaw's been fantastic. Even going forward, the way he progresses the ball is absolutely fantastic. The way he makes those runs on the overlap. Even in England's last game, I think he was probably the best player, arguably the best player at least. So, yeah, Luke Shaw for me. I think Ben Chilwell isn't getting ahead of Marcus Alonso at the minute. And if you don't start enough for your club side, I mean, there's no way you should start for. I mean, I said that about Walker, so I guess I'm being a hypocrite. I am a hypocrite, fair enough. But I think that Luke Shaw should start. He's been fantastic. But anyway, that's the fullbacks done. Boys, centre backs. Again, I don't think there's much debate. But
you know who.
One of them.
Yeah, has to be.
Yeah, one of them's name starts with J. So you know who.
Can we all just come agree that John Stones is there? Should I write him down?
John Stones, Paolo Maldini. I mean,
I'm putting it on paper.
Tomato, whatever, same thing. But Adi, for you, I mean, you've seen our bias anyway. But yeah, John Stones, and who goes next for them? Because it's John Stones. Let's be honest.
It's John Stones, definitely.
Come on.
I mean, it will be Maguire. We know that. I just want to give a huge shout out to Connor Cody, who I know he gets a lot of stick. He has been very, very good for a Wolves side. He's a generally reliable, dependable player. Srini's shaking his head, but in a back three, I think in a back three, he would definitely be in there. But it has to be. I think Stones, Maguire. For sure. Stones is hands down, like no debate. But Harry Maguire.
Boys,
I thought you were coughing there for a second. I thought you had a stroke.
No. I'm saying, okay, Liverpool and City, that's what we support. We hate United, and United's like out of the back five, 3 of them have made it here.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, wow.
I mean, that kind of shows you that we're super unbiased, man. We're Messi, Suarez, and Neymar in their prime. So yeah, subscribe right now, guys. But yeah, you're going for Maguire as well, Ritvik?
Yeah, man, Maguire.
He
has to be there. He has the experience. He's done well. He did well in the last World Cup. He's not been bad. He's played every minute for United. And as much stick as he gets, he has been their best defender.
Totally, man. I mean, I think, of course, talking about John Stones, I mean, there's no real point because he has to be in there. He's probably been the Premier League's outstanding centre-back, arguably, after Ruben Diaz, of course. In terms of Harry Maguire, I think he gets too much stick. Again, I think with what he went through when he was in Greece, I don't think people consider his mental health enough. I think people love to make their jokes. The fact that he's played so many minutes, the fact that he can lead that defense, the fact that he has someone like John Stones to complement him, makes him a perfect player for tournament football because he'll always stay fit and he'll always, give you that experience. So yeah, Harry Maguire has to be in there, and I think people need to put some respect on his name. I think people really like to slander him. But of course, let's look at a couple of the comments. Ronaldo 123 Rocks. That is a fantastic name, my friend.
Can we come back to Ronaldo 123 Rocks at the end? I'd address a couple of his comments later.
Okay. Should I
No, just read his comment. He let Adibir speak at the end what he wants.
Yeah, sure. I know there's a couple of City fans because I know there are a couple of City fans screaming Walker, John Stones, Ballon d'Or 2021. That's facts, man. John Stones is clear of Alejandro Nesta. Let's be honest. Ducks say
if England win the World Cup, it's going to be because of the right-hand side, because of Stones and Walker, not because of the right and left-hand side.
I don't even have to add anything to that. I think John Stones will probably score a free kick at the end of the... Yeah. Let's be honest.
Go on.
Arnav Chawla saying, you guys would have lost a subscriber if you dropped Shaw, so well done on that. Yeah, man.
That's you, Ritvik.
That's you, Ritvik. That's not us. If we lose subs, it's on you, man. Mehul Suri saying, just couldn't afford dropping Shaw Stones. Yeah, 100%. Ronaldo 123 Rocks wants all the smoke with Adibir saying, Abhi karte hain debate, aaja, let's get on it. Fantastic. I love the spirit, man. Just calm down for a second, honestly. I have that kind of smoke for Gareth Southgate anyway. But anyway, let's move on from that. We've picked the back five. Boys, a little question, actually. John Stones, Harry Maguire, obvious picks. Right? And our picks have been pretty predictable till now.
Yeah.
If you had to pick the other 2 centre-backs that, go to the Euros, who would you go for?
Good question.
Cody should be there.
Yeah, sure. Definitely. And Mings.
Okay.
Mings
I think Tyrone Mings.
Yeah,
so
I think those
are those the 2 centre-backs you'd go for, or are those the 2 centre-backs you think Gareth Southgate would go for?
both. I think I would
yeah.
go for them. I think it makes sense to pick them as well. I think they're not being overlooked at all. The fact that they've been picked in his 23-man squad was not unnoticed.
Fair enough.
Maybe he'll slide in a little right back over there instead of a centre back and play Walker over there and do stupid things that he does. You never know with him. But if
Yeah.
he has to take 4 at least, he should be there.
If he plays a back three, I can totally understand why Conor Cody goes. Also because of his personality. But I'd personally go for Ben Godfrey as one of the options. I think he's been really good.
Yeah,
Good
he's
shout.
not been bad.
And
Yeah.
I would not be opposed to taking either Michael Keane, because again he's pretty experienced, or going a little wilder and going for Ezri Konsa. I think he's been fantastic. Oh, Lewis Dunk. Sorry, Lewis Dunk. That's my guy. Lewis Dunk is experienced as well. Lewis Dunk. But anyway, a couple of comments. Arnav agreeing with me saying Konsa or Dunk over Mings. Yeah, that's facts. I think Konsa's been much better than Mings, honestly. And Lewis Dunk is absolutely amazing to me. I'm a big fan. Anamaya saying Michael Keane's been solid. Yeah, man, you guys are spitting facts. Let them know. Conor Cody, nah. But anyway, enough about Jamie Carragher's son. Let's move into midfield, because we're playing a 4-3-3, of course. Adi, I'm going to go to you first. Who are the three that you're going to go for? Of course, Hendo might not be available for the Euros. So taking that into consideration, who would you go for?
Wow. I mean, that's a game changer. If he's not in consideration, see, Declan Rice is there on paper, 100%.
Yeah.
Alongside him, if there's no Henderson, I mean, I'd probably play Mount in a slightly advanced role.
Okay.
Alongside with him, I don't know, man. I'm gonna come to you guys first and help me.
Yeah, let's go one by one. So Rice, is it Rice for you in the DM position?
Rice, and I'm thinking maybe Calvin Phillips, but he's not good enough for me. But I don't know. Ritvik, I'll come to you first. Who are your three?
Go for it.
So should I just pick all three or just go for it?
Yeah, go on, man.
Okay, yeah. So if Henderson's not fit, I'd probably pick Rice over there in the DM position. And with him, I agree that Calvin Phillips is not good enough to be there.
Yeah.
I think Phil Foden should be there, definitely. I don't see him as a winger. I see him as a midfielder, and I see him as a creator. And there is no way that he cannot be in this England 11 because of just how good he's been this season. And he's probably the only hope they have in terms of creativity in that midfield, because Southgate will play 3 DMs. We know him. Like he'll do bullshit like that, and then he'll expect Kane to deliver. Like that's his plan. I don't know. But yeah, I think Phil Foden, Declan Rice, and if I had to go for the third one, I wouldn't be surprised if Mason Mount makes it. So it should be Rice, because if there's no Henderson, then there's no need to play another DM in Calvin Phillips.
Oh, that is brave, man.
We should go all out, man. We should go all out. They have it on paper.
I wouldn't go for that personally. I would go for Declan Rice at DM. Obviously, I would have gone for Declan Rice regardless of whether Henderson would have been fit or not. I think Rice is probably that one midfielder who is 100% certified to spot in that team. Ahead of him, I would play Jude Bellingham. Of course, Jordan Henderson is not fit. The way Jude Bellingham wins the ball is outstanding.
Let him study, bro. Let him give his boards first.
That's me, bro. He came straight from Birmingham and he's doing absolute bits in the Champions League. The guy is unfazed. He's absolutely brilliant. Phil Foden's a young lad as well, and we're playing him. So why not throw Jude Bellingham in there? This is
name a 17-year-old who stormed the World Cup, who took the World Cup by surprise. Name one 17-year-old.
He could be the first story. Why not? Why? You should always be brave. I don't think it's smart to, considering England's defense, I don't think it's smart to play Mason Mount as well as Phil Foden. I think when you play a top size, you could get battered. I think Jude Bellingham will at least give you the legs in midfield. If Henderson was fit, I'd start Henderson. So I'd go for Jude Bellingham. That's my shout, unpopular opinion. And in front of them, I'd like to go for Phil Foden. But if Phil Foden doesn't start, I would not mind it at all if Mason Mount plays. Whenever Mason Mount plays, he's probably the best player. So probably Mount, Bellingham, and Rice.
You're not picking Foden, bro. You're a City fan.
No, it's either thing.
Just taking in Ritvik's point as well, I feel like if you play Foden and Mount together, you're losing that sort of balance in midfield where it's not solid enough. And I'm not saying you have to start 2 DMs, but I just feel like if you actually think about it, Bellingham is probably the solution between, which is because he's a central midfielder. You can't play with 2 attacking mids, which is Foden and Mount. You lose that balance.
Yeah, but bro, think of it in this way, okay? He's a 17-year-old. You know what happens when you go to big tournaments. Nerves get to you.
That's the point.
For everyone.
Yeah.
He's 17. Like, he's not even 20 or 21 like Mount and Foden. They at least have the confidence because they've been playing against the best players of the world in the Premier League. Bellingham hasn't done that. Bundesliga isn't the best, it doesn't have the best of the rest. It just has.
You can also say that as City fans, we wanted Foden to play right from the get-go, right? And to be fair, Foden was ready to a certain extent, even though Pep has incorporated him brilliantly and all of that. why not do that with Jude Bellingham? I don't understand how playing Mount and Foden helps, because Mount and Foden are not like defensively astute in that sense. They'll put a lot of pressures and they'll put their tackles in, but
the work rate
Bellingham
is there, man. The work rate is there.
the
Exactly.
work rate is there, but it's not Jude Bellingham level work rate. Jude Bellingham can play as a 6 and an 8. That's his role. Mount and Foden are 8s and 10s, I feel. And
Okay,
Foden
pick
is a
one.
winger as well. So personally,
Yeah, but I don't. Would you pick Foden as a winger? Would you? Because I don't think I would.
It's an interesting conversation, because I think Foden could start there, but there's other options that should probably start there that we'll get on to later. But anyway, guys, we've had our debate. Adi,
We need
settle
to
it.
pick up 3 now. I think
So we
Declan
we
the
have
first one.
yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Mason
One
Mount.
second, Sri, go Mount or Foden. Who do you pick? Because you have Bellingham Rice. Who's the third
Bellingham
one?
Rice. Have we agreed on Bellingham Rice, because there's no Hendo?
I don't think no. I don't know.
Yeah,
Man.
even I'm not there yet.
What? That's so attacking them, right?
I'm not convinced by the Bellingham argument, man. I think
I'm
I would
not
rather go
convinced
for a midfield with Mount Foden. Now that I think about it, because again they have the experience of 4 more years, even though he's still 21. Someone like Foden. I mean, it's just I don't
And
know. I
they
think
run for you. Have you seen Mount and Foden with that energy, that young energy that they have, that every 20-year-old has? They don't stop.
I think you guys, I won't say that for Adi, because Adi is our in-house Bundesliga expert, but I think I'm not even saying that as a dig. I genuinely feel you should watch Jude Bellingham play a couple of times. You'll be astonished.
that's all I
But
do.
how much has he played? How much has he played? What, 15 odd
Played
games?
quite a lot for Dortmund, man.
He's played a lot. He's played enough, but he's
20
still
games in his life. How many games has he played in his life? Just think about that. Like
How many
30,
games still Foden
35
started for
max?
City? Not that many. I'm a
No,
City fan. I'm saying it.
He started over 50 games, 50, 60
I
games.
mean, okay, I have an argument. Phil Foden is playing in the best team in the country, and Jude Bellingham is playing in a pretty average Borussia Dortmund side, and he still looked pretty great. And that means he has more responsibility. So if you think about it that way,
Phil Foden stands out in the best team in the country as well. So
Yeah, against the
there's
other best teams, against the big six. Phil Foden stands out over there.
Foden argument again, isn't it? It's
I think the only way is to settle this with a vote. I think, okay, on Mount, are we agreeing that he's in?
Not over Foden. Not over Foden. For me.
Okay.
Mount doesn't have that creativity that Foden gives you.
Lads, number 8. Who's the number 8? Pick the number 8 and the rest we can go for.
Okay, so we settle on Rice, right? Rice is there for
Rice
sure.
is done. Basmati Busquets is done. Who's the number 8?
Not Bellingham, man. Not Bellingham at all.
Because I can't think of a number 8 apart from Calvin Phillips, but
Ward-Prowse would be there.
He's not number 8, but he's the only one who complements Rice so in that role, sort of.
Ward-Prowse, James Ward-Prowse.
I wouldn't play Ward-Prowse.
I don't mind Ward-Prowse over Calvin
Phillips. Oh my God, we're doing this. Guys, I just want to let you know that these two voted for Brexit, all right? So they want Sam Allardyce back as the coach. They want to play a classic 4-4-2, and they want to pay £80 at the pub. So they belong to that sort of mentality. But anyway, so Ward-Prowse gets in? Really? Oh, Lord.
Not for me. I would never.
Then he doesn't.
Oh my God.
Okay. So let's settle this. Okay.
Just pick your picks, man.
Okay. Ritvik, who are your 3?
My 3, I told you, Rice, Foden, Mount.
Okay, I'm probably going to go for that as well. Now that I think about it.
Okay, fair enough. What I'm saying doesn't matter then. But yeah, I'm going to go for Rice.
In the mud.
And either Mason Mount or my guy Phil Foden.
But Henderson is so short missing the Euros. Is that the case?
I mean, it's not. It's looking quite unlikely. If Henderson is fit, then Henderson is easily.
Yeah, exactly.
No discussion. But anyway, there's a lot of comments, so let's address those, and then we'll move to the forward line. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I'm pretty rattled, honestly. But game's the game, I guess. Arnav with a very clever comment saying, "At Ritvik, Pele is the guy you're looking for, the 17-year-old who smashed at the World Cup."
17-year-old World Cup winner, by the way.
All knowledge is on point. Sanjay Khimani says something very inappropriate, which I'm not going to say because I think it is inappropriate. I'm going to move on from that. AG says age doesn't really matter as long as there is quality. Look at Spain and Pedri. Yeah, look at Ansu Fati. Look at Phil Foden balling out for City. Look at Saka. Anyway, go on. We can go on and just keep having the discussion. Arnav saying, are you guys considering Grealish for midfield or only the wing? This is interesting, guys. Why did we not consider Grealish as a midfield? I'll go to Adi first for this one.
Because I don't think simply his best position is there in, let's say, a 10 in midfield. I think he's much better on the wing. That's a whole other debate when we get into it, but he's not a midfield player for me, per se.
What do you think, Ritvik? Do you agree?
Actually, I think I might have forgotten that Grealish exists in the midfield. I was taking him as a winger initially, and now that I think of it, I could have changed but I still feel Mount is a better. He runs more and he defends better. So,
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I still wouldn't change with my picks.
Yeah, so same argument really. Even though he can play as a cam,
The only way he gets there is if Mount and Foden don't play, and there's another team. So that is unlikely.
Yeah, exactly. What we will say though, Arnav, is that Grealish is one of those players who genuinely has a free role. You'll see him on the left, but then you'll see him play extremely deep. He doesn't really have a set role, but yeah, he's not a midfield player per se. So yeah, it is what it is. Anant Dhanraj Singh saying Ward-Prowse box to box. I don't agree with that, but Ward-Prowse could certainly go. His set piece ability is actually a cheat code, which could be very handy, kind of like what Trippier did at the last tournament. Kabir saying Jay Lings is going to start this midfield. This midfield debate is futile. Yeah, I mean, you never know with Southgate. Jay Lings plays a right winger the other day, dude. So who knows?
Yeah.
Kabir saying as well, Grealish won't work in the midfield. He's too much of a luxury there. Yeah, we kind of agree with that. Duck saying Foden. I would love Foden to start in midfield. I'm not against. I think Foden and Grealish would be dangerous, honestly. But anyway, I wouldn't mind if Mason Mount plays, or none of us would really, because he's probably the most balanced option. Anyway, guys, let's head into the front three. It's gonna get really saucy. There's Jadon Sancho, there's Raheem Sterling, there's Marcus Rashford, there's Jack Grealish, there's Bukayo Saka. Oh my god, it's absolutely nuts. So Ritvik, for you, forget the striker because we know it's gonna be wings. I'm kidding. But for wingers, who would your wingers be?
I think my right winger would be Sterling over Sancho because just that he's way more experienced. He's there. He's been great. He just scored. He's been on a good run, and Sancho just hasn't been there this season. Plus, he has the experience, which Sancho doesn't. And yeah, I feel it's time for him to redeem himself in like international tournaments for Sterling at the right wing. And on the left wing, I would have said Rashford maybe 2 months ago, but right now I'm just in a fix between Rashford and Grealish. But I'd probably go with Rashford still, just because of his experience that he has. I want Grealish to start. I wouldn't be surprised if he does, but I don't know. Just Rashford feels like the guy who will deliver on a big occasion. He would want to, the personality is such. So I think if he doesn't play well in the first couple of games, get Grealish on, But yeah, I think it's Rashford and Sterling for me. I hate to do this, but that's what.
I mean, you guys talk about experience like Rashford's won 4 World Cups. I don't understand it. Adibir, who goes for you, man? I'm getting annoyed.
I was reading Arnav Chawla right before I get in, saying Adi, debunk the Sancho hasn't played well this season myth and prove your Bundesliga knowledge.
Yeah, that's a good point.
People think that he hasn't played well because his output hasn't been there, but he hasn't been the stellar Sancho that he was the season before that. So I understand why he'd be dropped. He'd be second choice to, I'm probably going to say Sterling on the right. And Ritvik, I'm going to go for Sterling and Rashford. Sterling, again, he's solid. He knows the system. He's played there for years. And come on, you guys as City fans know what Sterling can get. This season, he hasn't been as good as he was previously. Similar again to Sancho. But Sterling's ceiling, maybe ceiling is the wrong word. On form, he's a better player than Sancho. So I think as a big game player, he'll help get that X factor kind of stuff. On the other hand, I don't think Grealish would start for me. Kabir said it pretty perfectly. He's a luxury player. And maybe he's that X factor that can come in to change the game in the last maybe 20, 25 minutes when things are not going so well. I think Rashford is more dependable for me.
Also, he's come back from injury. Like Grealish has just come back. You never know how these things turn out.
Srini is not news at all.
Yeah, I think he's gonna go for Grealish and he's gonna slam us.
Srini,
already-
clear it out.
It's an
Yeah.
anti-Srini agenda. Fair enough, guys. It is what it is.
No, go for it. We want to hear it. If you can change our mind, we might change our
Yeah.
opinion. You know.
See, I first of all, with my reaction, I don't want anyone to think that I don't think that Marcus Rashford can start or should start. I think Marcus Rashford has had an excellent season. So on the right, I would go for Raheem Sterling as well. I think Raheem Sterling, there's this myth that Raheem Sterling is better on the left. He's not. Raheem Sterling started improving as a player on the right. So Sterling on the right. And even though Sterling's not had a great season, Sterling is probably the most likely to get you a goal or to be in a position to score a goals. I don't think Sancho or even Rashford make those runs in behind that Sterling makes. That's probably only why I'd go for Sterling. Otherwise, I don't think there's any sort of huge argument to sort of not go for Sancho or even Rashford for me, except for the fact that Rashford can't really play on the right. On the left, I'd go for Jack Grealish. Again, I think that form-wise, he's been fantastic. Whenever I watch Jack Grealish play for England, he honestly looks like he's on another planet. Honestly, he looks like he's on another planet. And I think that while he is a bit of a luxury player, then again, I think that I'm someone who goes for form over reputation. And I'm always one to take risks personally. So I would like
But
to
he's
go
been injured. He doesn't have that form right now. He's been injured. You
but
don't know how.
he's injured. So there's no argument to
Yeah.
suggest that when he was playing, he was brilliant for Villa. I mean, he's a leader.
Yeah,
Agreed. If you want to talk intangibles, Jack Grealish is arguably one of the biggest leaders in that team. To do what he's doing for Aston Villa season in, season out is outstanding. Look at Aston Villa right now without Jack Grealish. They don't even look like a top 10 team. So
Yeah.
I would probably start Jack Grealish. I mean, look at how he's done with the pressure he has, with the hype he has, with Gareth Southgate not starting him. Factor all those things in, Jack Grealish starts for me for sure. But if Rashford starts, fair enough. I have no problem with it. But of course, majority vote goes to Sterling and Rashford. So there we
I think
have
it is
it.
Sterling and Rashford, right?
Yeah, I think so. I want Grealish to start. You know, he's one. I don't
Yeah.
want to see him out because he's been that player. I put him at the left wing. If you remember in our team of the year thing, you went for Son or someone. I don't know. It was my vote. I remember. I put him there. Yeah. And see, I put him on the team of the year, and Rashford was a contender over there. But and I feel that was true. And I feel that was true. But then if I were to start him for an international tournament, I would go for Rashford over him. Just
Exactly.
I don't know why. It's just one of those things that you have. You wouldn't start a Calvert-Lewin even if he's at back 30 goals for you over Kane.
It's a different argument, but fair enough.
Yeah.
I'd go for Jack Grealish. And I've seen Jack Grealish and Phil Foden play together. And if those two played together, I think they'd be different class, honestly. Because Jack Grealish can sort of play that central role if he wants to. Phil Foden can go onto that left. I think it'd be very interesting. So fair enough.
If Pep Guardiola manages England, then Jack Grealish, Mason Mount, Phil Foden, Raheem Sterling, everyone, all the ballers start.
Yeah, there's a difference between a top manager and a guy who buys waistcoats from Top Man. So there it is. Of course, striker Harry Kane. Do we want to do this? Or
I have an interesting question for you guys. Harry Kane is obviously the pick.
Yeah.
As a second striker, who would you guys go for? Would you go for Calvert-Lewin, Ings, who's lost a bit of form, or Patrick Bamford? And I'll ask you this question because I heard Micah Richards make a really interesting point. I would personally go for Bamford after listening to him because Bamford probably brings more to the team when they're playing than Calvert-Lewin. Because if Calvert-Lewin is not getting the ball and getting touches in the box or scoring goals, he does nothing else. He doesn't link up the play like Bamford does. Bamford can hold it up, he drops deeper, and he can let those wingers like Sterling, Rashford, even Grealish through his link-up play. And I think that's a big factor for someone who wasn't picked for this 23 side, but maybe he should be going to a big tournament. Srini, I'm going to come to you for this.
That's a very, very good question. Actually, ideally speaking, if we were not to be practical and pragmatic and things like that, I would love to actually see Harry Kane play as a 10 behind Calvert-Lewin. I just think it'd be a lot of fun. But ideally speaking, I think if you're looking for combinations and not form, I would love to see Danny Ings and Harry Kane play together. Because Ings provides that pressing, Ings has that raw pace as well. So I think it'd be quite a contrast. I think Calvert-Lewin and Bamford Calvert-Lewin especially provides that physicality. Bamford provides that excellent link-up play and that sort of fox in the box sort of a situation. So in terms of combinations, I'd be quite interested to see Danny Ings is what I would say. Would I go for Danny Ings? I'd probably not be brave enough to, but I would love to see Danny Ings play with him. But I'd probably go for DCL or Bamford. I mean, either or. It's kind of like the Mason Mount, Phil Foden thing, either or. So that's my take. Ritvik, what do you think?
Okay, I would want Jamie Vardy to come out of retirement and play, but that's not going to happen. Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But okay, I would see Patrick Bamford. He gets a lot of the service that he has. England cannot provide that. The amount of chances that Leeds create and the XG that he has is probably 2 times what Calvert-Lewin would have. I don't know the numbers exactly, but I've heard he has one of the best XGs in the league.
Yeah.
And that's not the case with Calvert-Lewin, and he has delivered, irrespective of not having that XG with him. Whereas Bamford gets a lot of chances. If you give Bamford 6 chances, yes, he's going to score 1. But I would still go for a DCL over him, just because of the fact that how England play is they're very dominant in the air, and they put in the crosses, which he'll probably get to better than Bamford. But if you were to put say a Bamford in another team like France or someone with better creativity with Spain or some other team, then yeah, he'd be ahead of DCL for me. But for England, no, DCL makes it over Bamford.
I'll tell you what, this is not related to this is not related to the England argument, but I think what would be quite an interesting combination would be to see Patrick Bamford and Antoine Griezmann for France. I think he could play that Giroud role quite well. But I think Patrick Bamford probably links play better than DCL. But I think DCL wins the ball and is more aggressive, quote unquote, than Patrick Bamford. But in terms of linking play, I'd actually go for Bamford, but DCL is in the better form, so DCL. But
I would take all 3 of them to the World Cup. I wouldn't take Ings.
Yeah, on form, I won't take Ings either.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. Agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so what do you guys think? Tell me how many of the 11 that we made will not make it to the starting 11? Will Southgate not play?
I don't think Kyle Walker starts at right back. I don't think he do.
Who do you think?
No, I personally would, but I could see someone like Reece James starting actually. I don't know why. I don't think he fancies Trent, and if he plays a 3 at the back, he'll go for Trippier. So we have only Reece James left. I don't, because of Kyle Walker, because of how less he's played, I don't think Southgate will go for him. So I probably think Reece James could play. Left back, centre backs are fixed. Keeper's a weird one, isn't it? Keeper's a tough one. Probably, I still think he'd go for Nick Pope.
Yeah, I'd also think he'll go for. I think he'll go for Nick Pope.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. I think the stick is too much. Like with the Grealish situation where he was forced to play Grealish. I think this is the same situation. If he goes for Pickford, especially after that heart situation that happened back in the last Euros, you don't want that to happen. So, apart from that, guys, any other?
And I think he's definitely going to pick Ward-Prowse or Calvin Phillips alongside Declan Rice.
That might just happen. You never know. This guy is a bit.
Even Eric Dier, you might just pick him. You never know.
Oh yeah, we completely forgot about him. He can play. Thing is, he can play 2 positions. He can be centre back and CDM. So you never know, honestly. But he's been completely off.
If Eric Dier can speak in can play in 2 positions, I can also speak in Spanish for Sin Gracias. Like, come on, it's not true. He barely plays centre back. He's a nothing footballer, and there is no way in hell that he should make the England setup. I mean, come on, Gareth, be more imaginative. Like, come on, that's shocking. There's a couple of comments, boys, and then if we want to address something, or if you guys have some more questions, please ask us. Anand Dhanraj Singh says DCL based on form. Bamford is not experienced enough to play a major tournament. DCL has never played a major tournament, my friend, so I don't know what you're talking about. Duck saying Bamford for me. Shaurya Tyagi says Sam Curran number 9. Yeah, Adi would not like that reference because he can't stand cricket, but Sam Curran was outstanding recently. Shivam says Kyle Walker OP. Kyle Walker hai to OP, wo to sahi baat hai. Shaurya Tyagi says Trent and Nick Pope. Shivam says, what happened to Joe Hart? Out of touch with Kuti. Joe Hart situation is very sad, man.
He plays for Jose Mourinho, bro.
Yeah, man. It is what it is. That's why it's a sad situation. Shivam Sharma says, same comment, my bad. A couple of other odd comments, I'm not going to lie. Arnav Chawla with a half-sensible comment saying, Dyer's most iconic player at the moment is going for a SHIT. I'm not going to curse on YouTube. Mid-game, don't even mention him. Yeah, don't mention him. His iconic moment is scoring that winner against Colombia in the penalty shootouts. I think that's probably his most iconic war. But guys, the last question, and then let's wrap it up. Thank you so much for the comments, by the way, guys. We really appreciate them, even if I take the mick out of you. Are there any honorable shouts or any outside surprise picks that you guys would go for? Ritvik, I'll go to you for this one.
To go for in the 11?
Not in the 11, really, just in the squad, if you want. Or in the 11, if you want to go for someone who's a bit rogue.
I think Saka will make it. I think he's an outside pick. Because if you see at full strength, England in that 23-man squad would probably not have space for Saka. Or even because of the amount of midfielders they take and the amount of right backs they take, they probably won't have as much depth up front because it's going to be tough. He won't, because Grealish is there, Saka is there, there's so many, Sancho is there. How many DCL, Bamford. So I think Saka is one of them who I think should make it as an outsider.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, I think Saka offers two dimensions. He can play in two different systems, so that probably helps him, benefits him. So I think he'll be.
Yeah. Any other rogue shouts or anything? I think Saka is not an unpopular opinion. I think Saka would actually make it. I feel so. Any rogue shouts like that for you, Adi?
Well, I don't have a rogue shout exactly, but I think the conclusion for my 11 basically is, which we'll round up later, is that England probably, I think their individual 11 is better than the England team that's going to be selected. So I think as a team, they're suited to a particular set of personnel, and individually they're a different 11. But again, it's the team that wins. It's not your individual performance. So I think that factors into the decisions we've made for anyone that's a bit like,
But that setup is because of the way Southgate plays his teams. That's just the way he wants. He's very risk averse.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can win tournaments being that.
But
you need to take risks like playing Fabregas as a number 9, like stuff. You have to do something out of the box that wins you that World Cup.
I totally agree. That's my problem with managers like Gareth Southgate. I would rather my manager take a mad risk and get beat than sort of have the handbrake on and get absolutely battered. It sort of makes no sense because then you have no excuse. With that, you have an excuse. So that's why I'm never a fan of managers like Gareth Southgate for top teams, because I think they're too scared rather than anything else.
But isn't that easier said than done? I mean, if that happens in a real life situation where you play gung-ho football and you're like, you lose 3-0.
No. I'm not saying you play gung-ho football, which is why I probably favor someone like Mount over Foden because he's more industrious than Phil Foden. But you have to find that balance. I feel playing a 3 at the back is kind of pointless because England's strengths are their attacking talents. I think going forward, at least in terms of the personnel they have, they're as gifted as can be. They really are. I mean, it's an embarrassment of riches. I mean, the fact that we can say that Jack Grealish will not start is a joke because that guy is absolutely incredible, right? So when you look at it in that sense, I think he should take more risks, but at the same time, he shouldn't go gung-ho like Bielsa does. He should do a Deschamps if he can, where he plays like a Matuidi out on the wing, but you still have Mbappe on the pitch and Griezmann on the pitch. So that's my personal take. My only mad outside shout is, of course, Jude Bellingham. Jude Bellingham to start, in my opinion. If Jude Bellingham starts, mark my words. Everyone who's watched this live, mark my words. Jude Bellingham is going to be a household name after what he does in the US.
Have you written an article on him yet?
I have not, but I am a massive fan.
Yeah, do that. Let it out, man. Let it out.
I actually want to let it out with the Aguero article, but I can't even do that. I'm
too soon.
Anyway, there's one comment that we'll definitely address, and then we'll end things, and we'll of course sum our team up for anyone that missed it. And Adi, you have to sort of take this comment because Ronaldo 123 rocks wants all the smoke. So I'm going up and I'm scrolling up and checking the comments because there's been so many. So thank you so much, guys, once again. Ronaldo 123 rocks says, don't England always have a fantastic squad every time they go to a major tournament? Lol. In the 2000s, also with the likes of such world-class players like Terry, Rooney, Lampard, Beckham, and whatnot, lol. Still, they always bottle it. Aside from the last World Cup, England have been a bleep show in tournaments. So, Adi, for you, what do you make of that? Because that's not the worst point as well. Because England had an embarrassment of riches. They had Sol Campbell, Rio Ferdinand, John Terry. You can go on, and the list won't stop. So what do you think of that, bro?
So, firstly, I completely understand where he's coming from. and why a lot of fans make that statement that England's golden generation didn't win anything. The likes of Beckham, Lampard, Gerrard, Scholes just in midfield. It's shocking that they didn't go further in tournaments.
Right.
I think so. A lot of pundits have spoken about this in recent years, and they've said that there was no cohesion, there was no unity in the England setup that time. It was all
They
the big
hated
four.
each other.
Yeah, exactly. They were all in there. They had their own. They used to sit on separate tables. Never used to talk to each other. So it's difficult to come from club football where you're facing each other week in, week out. You have complete animosity and hate. You're more focused on winning the league title that year than you are on taking your country forward. So I think that's something that Gareth Southgate has instilled in the squad. The players now, they've come up from the under-21s together. England grassroots has improved significantly since 2012, 2013 when they really started launching it. And that's coming to fruition now, like almost 10 years later. And that's why you see they're friends now. The England team is a unit. And it's very easy to see that. Even if they're if it's United, Liverpool, City players, yes, they're enemies on the pitch in the for club football, but international thing is a whole different ballgame. And I think even though it's such an abstract kind of statement that they're united, it makes a big difference when you're going forward. You look at a team like France, where all of them are so tight, you can see how they are together on the pitch. That translates in football. You have that understanding on the pitch, which is, I think, it's taken for granted in today's day and age where people think footballers are robots, where they just come and perform. That's not how it works. It's like easier said than done. And Ronaldo 123 Rocks, whatever that name is, has also said here, aside from the last World Cup. Now, you can't just say aside from the last World Cup because you take that momentum going into another major tournament. So you can't just say aside from. It's a result of all those things that I mentioned. And I hope that addresses it for you.
Well answered, man. Well answered. I mean, you really let him know. No, I'm kidding.
Just putting it out there, they're not enemies anymore, man. You saw what Maguire and Stones did. They're not enemies on the pitch anymore either. That is something. I mean, as long as England win, that's fine. Otherwise, there's no excuse for that.
Yeah, I think Shivam said something. So Shivam was, and I'll answer your question, Shivam. Shivam was sort of saying that they were all Premier League players, and look at Spain. Spain had people or players from the likes of Barca and Real Madrid, and they were pretty friendly. I mean, they weren't friendly, but of course they were mature enough to put their differences aside, like Sergio Ramos, and happy birthday Sergio Ramos, of course, and Gerrard Piqué, and play together. And same with the likes of Xabi Alonso and Xavi Hernandez and Andres Iniesta, and you can go on and on. But I think what Adibir is trying to say, and I will give credit to Gareth Southgate for this, is the fact that the attitude towards the three lines has improved a lot in terms of the coverage that the media do. They've definitely been championed much more. I mean, there's so much more of an optimistic attitude, especially during the last during the last World Cup that was incorporated, which I think played a major role in them being successful. Regardless of who they faced and the tactics and all of that, I think there was a positive vibe going into that tournament, and you see the same right now. Ex-players have admitted it as well. They used to have their little groups. The Chelsea guys used to stay together, the Liverpool guys used to stay together, the United guys used to. So I think it was quite immature. I think there was no balance in the side as well, especially under Eriksen. You saw that with the treatment of Paul Scholes as well. So I think playing for England has become more of a thing where people are excited to do so instead of it becoming a burden from the public and even in that setup, because it's no longer a hostile atmosphere at all. That's why you see the likes of Phil Foden and Jude Bellingham or whoever just incorporate, and they do so well. Even Reece James did recently. So that's what we're trying to say, really. And I think
adding on to that, I feel that they've learned from their mistakes. They've learned from what these guys did. Yeah. And that golden generation had players that were probably bigger than the country itself or bigger than their clubs, which is not the case over here. Someone like Phil Foden or Mason Mount wouldn't mind being benched and coming on and helping his team. He wouldn't be, he wouldn't frown upon it. He would want that opportunity just to go out there and just give it all his best.
Yeah.
Or even Reece James for a fact. They wouldn't mind anyone else starting over them because it's for the greater good. That is something that wasn't there in the previous generations, which is instilled right now by Gareth Southgate, as pointed out by you.
Very good point.
Yeah, absolutely. Shivam with one other question. You know what? We actually really like the fact that there's so many questions. There's some questions I haven't even addressed. Someone, of course, saying there's it's up in the comments, but I remember someone saying that someone low-key thought that I would say that if Bellingham starts, England will win the Euros. Who knows? No, I'm kidding. But Jude Bellingham is awesome. Shivam Sharma saying one question: if you have the time, yes, we do, bro. No problem. How big a role does a manager play in international football? Interesting question. Adi, I'll go to you for this one. What do you think?
That's a very good question.
Yeah.
What does he mean by that though? Like how, a role a manager plays in international football? It's a weird one because you see your players once every 3 months, if not less than that, and it's difficult to build relationships over time because again you're picking players on form, so it could be two players that are 18 years old come in for one set of friendlies, and the next one they're chopped and changed, and there are three new ones you're bringing in. So very difficult. I think international managers get a lot of stick quite unnecessarily because they're not working day in day out with these players. It's not like they're on the phone with them after every game saying, "Well done, do this, do that," because the club managers have that input, not the international ones. I'm just reading his comment again. As compared to league managers, they're hands-on. Yeah, so exactly my point again, where they are hands-on and there is that daily interaction. So it's a difficult one. That's why you look at people like Yogi Low who are getting stick now. For him, it's understandable because he's had that similar group of players for, I think 14 years now, 15 years. So you get that. But for someone like Gareth Southgate, Gareth Southgate, he's had them for, 4 years now, almost? It's a bit premature, if that makes sense. So yeah. Srini, your thoughts on this?
I mean, I think it's not a weird question, but it's a weird one to answer. I think that international managers certainly have a very challenging role to play because the expectations of an entire nation are pinned on you, and especially considering the fact that you rarely see your players, so you're kind of managing the team like a fan because you just watch games and you pick players on that basis, and someone is obviously going to be unhappy, and it is what it is, and you have a certain philosophy or a system, and if a certain player doesn't fit into that, you get all the sticks. So it's really challenging is what I would say. What I would say is that someone like Gareth Southgate, the good thing that he does is that he doesn't pick players on reputation. I think that's what a lot of managers used to do, where they pick the same players from the same top 6, top 4 clubs, and that's what it used to come down to. It's not the same anymore. You can see someone like Declan Rice who plays for West Ham, albeit, of course, West Ham are having an amazing season, but Declan Rice is the guaranteed starter at a number 6 position, which wasn't the case earlier. Mark Noble's never got an England cap, which is a constant sort of topic of conversation amongst the Hammers and all of that. So yeah, it's quite challenging, I would say. But what I would say is that international managers need to find balance. We mentioned Didier Deschamps, Del Bosque as well in the past. Aragonés as well used to manage Spain. I think finding that balance, sort of having a philosophy that everyone can sort of believe in, and almost creating an atmosphere where so they go to the international camp and it should seem like a breath of fresh air and not sort of a burden, and sort of just creating that whole hype around backing your country is very important, because as Indian fans we can do that because our sports are based around our country, but as countries like Spain, countries like England, I mean, they don't really do that. So in that sense, someone like Southgate has done a fantastic job. So that's my personal take. Ritvik, let's go on to you.
Yeah, I want to say, I think that managers managing an international team is more down to managing the people and not the team or the tactics. I think tactics wise, you just have to keep it simple and just make them do what they're good at. Like if you look at Spain, they knew each other pretty well, that team, the golden generation of them. And they knew that tiki-taka football, and the manager said, just go there and play that football, man. I don't care what you do. You just have to keep the people happy, keep the morale happy. As you said, it should be a breath of fresh air. You shouldn't overcomplicate things. Otherwise, because you don't have the time to, develop those tactics and all of that stuff. So you just have to make sure that you manage each individual pretty well and that keep the unit together. And as long as that's going on well and they're playing together well, I think things just flow, because nobody predicts something will happen or something won't happen.
It's quite an unfair job in a sense, because you could have one insane moment of sort of like a goalkeeping error or a defensive error, and you're sort of labeled as a fraud or not good enough. So That's probably our take. It's quite difficult, honestly, and it's very. I don't know. It's just a very tough job because there's so much on the line in a knockout tournament, which is kind of, I don't know. It's not the
Yeah,
fair.
just mentality wins, I feel.
Okay, Shivam with another another comment. No problem, bro. We love your comments. Okay,
Love you,
I'm
Shivam.
sorry. Yeah, I love you, Shivam. Okay, I'm sorry, but this thought just came up. Teams in international matches are more lopsided than club football. For example, a country like Portugal or Argentina is clearly a one-man show. Portugal, I'm not really sure, honestly. I don't agree
Yeah.
with that at all. I mean, even when Portugal won the Euros, I don't think Ronaldo had his best tournament. That's my personal hot take. So I don't really know where you're coming from. When you talk about that, Argentina again, they're a one-man show just because the other players either are not fit or don't step up enough, or they don't have a good enough defense. I don't know. It's a weird one. Of course, it's more lopsided because they don't play together. So that's the simple
But
answer.
any team that has Messi and Ronaldo is bound to be developed around them.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
you can't be like, okay, Ronaldo won't be able to play tiki-taka football, say, for
And
example.
you can't buy, like, for clubs, you literally buy players based on a certain philosophy that the manager has. So you have choice there. There's no choice there. If Emmanuel Adebayo plays for Togo and he's the only big player they have, then that's Togo's team in a nutshell. So that's what we think. Adi, what do you think, man? Oh wait, he's clarified something. I won't say one man show, but what I'm saying is not all players are at the same skill level. Adi, what do you want to say to that?
Similar points to you guys. I think it's just easier said than done. Ritvik made an excellent point that if you have someone like Ronaldo in your team, you build the team around them.
Yeah.
So a team like Germany, for example, who have brilliance everywhere, they'll have players who play in the same club. For example, Bayern Munich dominates their team, so it's easier for them to play with each other. But having that one player, when you have a Messi or Ronaldo, your team is automatically built around them again, and you're not going to give the torch to Sergio Aguero instead to, carry the team forward. So
Yeah.
You had to mention him. You had
Yeah,
to.
wrong day
Yeah.
to mention Sergio Aguero.
You had to. Bro.
just by the way, we have two City fans here, so we have to address this massive news. It's just poetic that I took his
I
name.
was looking at his face thinking, is he being serious right now? Like, did he have to
Yeah.
mention Aguero? I mean, mention Lavezzi or something like that, man.
Okay, but on a serious note, an ode to Aguero, one of the best strikers in the Premier League. I wouldn't say the best, but definitely one of.
Why do you
guys,
have to say that? Why do you have to
man.
say
Do you want to make
I'm not gonna
men
get into
cry
that.
on YouTube Live? Like, do you want that to happen?
that? It's not
Not going to
weird.
get into it. But
Come on.
yeah, Srini,
I-
I think we should give him a little tribute, honestly, because banter aside,
Yeah.
I mean, he is absolutely outstanding. Ritvik, as a fellow City fan, I want you to go first. What are your thoughts on Sergio Lionel Aguero?
I'm not gonna give any take on like if he should have left, if he should have the contract should be renewed or anything. I'm just gonna put it plain down and simple that he is Manchester City. He is what made this club. He's taken us where we are. It's all because of him. And it's just every person who's there are those moments, right? You know where you were when this moment happened.
Right.
You know how you felt after it. You can it's like it's at the back of your head. It's like just like yesterday. I know I ran down my stairs that day. I remember that. I knew I had an exam the other day. All of these things matter, and it's just that he's been the face of this club for so long, and the amount of differences he's made in those crucial moments in those games is just irreplaceable for anyone to come in. I've loved him before I've loved women, like I was a kid. I didn't know. I wasn't even adolescent at that time. I just knew football and I just loved him. I've loved him since then. So yeah, what else is there to say, man? Words aren't enough. It's all in my head. It's not coming out because it's just making me nervous and stuff.
Fair enough.
Yeah, man.
Srini?
Yeah, man. Sergio Aguero. I mean, it's funny because I had a big day yesterday, of course, because it was holy. I won't say much, but I had a big day. And I was chilling, and I just got a notification from like a City YouTuber I watch. And I didn't see the notification. I just saw Aguero, and I just swiped it because I didn't read it. And I was thinking, Aguero, why is he talking about Aguero? Is he leaving? Surely not. I went on Twitter, and I see the news, and I don't click it. I haven't watched a single Aguero compilation. I've tried to avoid Twitter honestly because it does make me feel very bad. But I can be quite practical with my takes because a football club is a business that should be run, and a football club is certainly bigger than any player, and that's just a fact. As Ritvik mentioned, Sergio Aguero is Manchester City. Came in, in 2011, first game, smashed 2 goals against Swansea, and honestly, like, he's the perfect striker. His finishing is outstanding. For a short guy, his heading is outstanding. His speed is so brilliant. The way he goes past players, his big game record, he has the greatest goal per game ratio in Premier League history, and that's
Greatest
for someone.
foreign scorer to play
The
in
greatest foreign scorers ahead of Thierry Henry is someone who's been injured every single season for City. I mean, if he wasn't injured, I mean, he'd be above Rooney in terms of the goal scoring record. He'd have a 31, 32, 33 goals, season.
He actually has more goals than Rooney. Like Rooney has for United in 180 games less or something. And similar, like if he plays for the entire season, it's just you can't even imagine how good he can be.
We've never, as City fans, people used to talk about Suarez being better, and fair enough, but we've never seen Aguero have a full season. So I don't want to go on too long because, as Ritvik said, words can't do justice. When I think of Aguero, I don't even think of the goals. I just think of his, as corny as it sounds, I actually think of his smile and just the moments. I think of it in slow motion. It's very odd. It's something that, say Erling Haaland comes in, he scores 45 goals in the league next season. I still that legacy is intangible. Yeah. It's like you can't. If you want to talk about the performances, that the Bayern Munich games, there's the Leicester game where he scored the 4 goals, there's the 5 goals against Newcastle. There's the Aguero moment. There's the hat tricks against Spurs. I mean, there's the goals against United. There's the hat tricks against Chelsea and Arsenal. 2 weeks back to back. So I know I'm going on and on, guys, but you have to understand that this guy is a true, not even Premier League, but a footballing great. So shout out to Sergio Aguero, man. We love you more than words can say. So
I just want to say this, that I think we're lucky to be part of this generation who's been, we were 10 to 12 years old, the 3 of us at that time, and to see a player last your entire childhood going into becoming a full adult. We're all 22, 21 now, 23. And he's still playing. That period that you have, that you grow up doing something, watching something you love for so long, and when he's the face of that, there's just that is it, man.
Yeah. As a writer, any thoughts?
I mean, as a Liverpool fan, he's a Premier League legend, no doubt about it. But I mean, that's one less City player to worry about. He's tormented us a lot. The ultimate big game player, I'll give him that. I think Drogba for me was the big game player at one point, but Aguero's definitely surpassed him. So, fair play to him. And I just hope we don't sign Haaland on the back of this. But I think other than that, respect where it's.
Yeah, man, you just got to respect greatness. Regardless of whoever a player plays for, especially a legend like him. There's a couple of comments, and then guys, we promise you we're leaving. There's a lot of comments, right? And we have things to do. I'm kidding. But we appreciate all the comments for real. AG saying Srini, I mean, he's quoting me. I don't think I said that, bro. You make your team around your best player. Did I say that? I actually don't really.
I said that.
Yeah, Ritvik, I don't even believe in that notion. Unless you Messi Ronaldo, that building a team around one person, I don't believe in that notion at all. So he said somebody should have told Sampaoli that. I don't have much to say, man. Jorge Sampaoli, we're not really the biggest fans. Shivam Sharma saying, bro, but David Silva is the underappreciated City legend. Yes, but then
we appreciate him enough.
It's tough to say. I do think that some of City players don't get the recognition they deserve. Sergio Aguero has never been Player of the Year, and the guy is top 3 strikers in Premier League history ever. You can argue with yourself. So I think Aguero is actually underrated for someone who's perfect. Greatest false 9, and he's the engine of Manc, but obviously I'm out of touch. Manchester, sorry, but I'm out of touch, so he can be wrong. False 9, is that Aguero? Aguero's not really a false. Are you talking about David Silva?
Yeah, I think he's talking about Silva.
He's not a false 9, my friend. He's a central midfielder, and in his initial years, he actually used to play out wide, interestingly enough, alongside Samir Nasri, but there's that. Duck saying, I just woke up to that news and I was like, ... Just want to live the effing Champions League trophy. Man deserves it. Yeah, man. I mean,
this year,
our attitude has gone from, and we were talking about this on chat today. We've gone from we don't want to jinx it to you have to win the Champions League. We don't care anymore. Sergio Aguero has to get the Champions League. There's no argument. I don't care if Lewandowski becomes fit again and Messi plays alongside him. Sergio Aguero has to get the Champions. It's a demand. It's a demand for Aguero, not for us. We don't.
He's the last. He's the last of the lot. You don't win it for Yaya. You don't win it for Company. You don't win it for Silva. And now he's the last one left. You have to win it for him. There is no questions asked.
Good, I think it would be really fitting as well. You remember there was that article that went out. I'll leave City when we win the Champions League. So I think it would be the perfect swan song for him to win on that.
I genuinely, if Aguero lifts the Champions League, I'm not even gonna lie. I'm gonna cry. I will definitely cry. It's gonna be nuts.
Yeah. And I wouldn't be like, I'll happily send him off. If he wins that, perfect.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, we want Aguero to sort of go to Barca and play alongside Messi. We want Aguero to be happy.
Live your dream, man.
Yeah, be happy. Sergio Aguero, anytime you're in Delhi, 100 free drinks, bro. If I have 100 free drinks.
Bro, it's so sad, if you think about it. He doesn't have many friends, in Manchester, and he's still there for 10 years. Yeah. He doesn't speak English. His only friend left the club. Otamendi left. De Gea is, I don't know. De Gea is his only friend, I feel, which is just...
I mean, he shouldn't be friends with De Gea with how he's playing, but anyway. Yeah. Ronaldo, 3 Rock Singh, Yaya Toure and Company also, absolute legends, and the way we've sent them off is beautiful as well. Ganesh Ramdak Singh, and that's the last comment, and then we definitely will end the live. Don't you think your club is handing out statues like candies? I mean,
yes.
I don't think so, man.
No, 3 statues. What?
David Silva is one of the game's greatest midfielders ever. Let's not even count.
In City's defense, you guys have only had history for the last 10 years, so your legends are coming out.
Okay. We have more history in the last 10 years than any other team in the
Prem. How many friends do you guys have? Okay,
yeah. Cool, nice. Just okay. You know what? Let's just sign off. Okay, Srini, I'm just going to sign off. I'm not going to get into this.
David Silva, Vincent Company, and Sergio Aguero definitely deserve statues. Yaya Toure also does, but I can understand why he's not got it. Just to quickly answer your comment, David Silva is one of the Premier League greats in the sense that he's literally one of the greatest midfielders that the game has ever seen. Vincent Company is a top 5 Prem centre back, and that's facts. And Sergio Aguero, you've said good banter. You're trying to rile me up, but hey, I'm not taking the bait. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. Thank you so much for joining me, boys. Of course, Elite Front 3. Of course, subscribe to the MTAG More Than a Game channel. We're going to change our name soon, so you'll find that out in the next video. But of course, if you want us to do more of these lives, England chats, England videos, just generally, if you have ideas, drop them in the comments below. Of course, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, all of that. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Of course, check out the MTAG More Than a Game website on Google. Of course, you check that out on Google anyway.
And watch out for our next video, which is coming in the next couple of days. Bang up.
It features a debate between Sri and I did on Aguero, which is just, it was just bad timing. But yeah.
Let him wait for it.
Yeah, wait for it.
And let's just say Adi had a pretty good day. That's all we're saying. That's
Facts.
It. You perform well.
That's why he was the one who said it, that watch out for the next video.
Anyway, thank you so much for watching, guys, and we move.
This was great.